Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the next frog manual. Long time no frog manual, but here we come with something very special. I already published a video on the general system and I kind of commented it. But to repeat, for those who have not seen it, this is the moment where we come with the GHK conversion for the HPA AR15 systems. Ta-da! This is a very important milestone for me because this was the target from the very beginning, to do VFC WE, GHK, Tokyo Marui, and maybe something else to work in the exact same method with the HPA connected and with the exact same magazine. No more problems that you need to buy a whole stack of the magazines. So here we come. This video will be separated into few stages to show you the complete assembly process, and I'll start on the contents of the kit so that you understand what we need to, let's say, build the gun. Of course, as with the other kits with the 5.56 platform, we have 3 5.56 FMEGs, and these are version 7, I believe. Generally, these FMEGs were improved or changed to work with all the guns so far, to fix all their issues and so on. So, as I said, VFC, TM, WE, GHK, all of them use the exact same one. Although GHK can use the very first one ever made, the generation 1, which is in possession of one person in the world only, and it's actually not me. So we have 3 of these beauties, and the models for them will be published with an update online. And we have the speed loader. This is latest version 2.4. This did not change much lately, and a spare wheel for it. And here is the interesting part. So don't expect any fireworks here because the general idea stays the same. We have the conversion, we have the hose with trigger guard and the sleeve together with a spring. This could be black, this could be green. The trigger guard could be the same color as the magazines, Frog Earth version 4 currently, or black. Then we have heat shrinking tubes, 3 pieces, 2 the same, 1 wider, length is minimum 5 centimeters, 5 units of screws, those 3 headless small ones, 1 cylindrical, 1 conical, and the US type quick connector for the pneumatics. And now the main attraction, which is the GHK gun itself. Let's move you, frog. I have here this fixed stock MK12 MOD1 SPR rifle, gas blowback, beautiful GHK gun, but the conversion will work the same way regardless of GHK model you have. There could be some tiny differences in how you assemble it, but I will explain it later. So now I will proceed with the assembly and I will show exact steps. There will be like 4 assembly steps and then some testing. We will cover them one by one like we do in all the videos, so let's not prolong this, let's get going. And the first step, as always, is the conversion preparation. For this we will need to replace the valve from the magazine into the conversion. You can see that actually there is a seal already in the conversion. This is a VFC seal. Why? Because GHK seal is very wide and it would not be possible to fit it with no collision with the levers here. So there is no way around it. In general, VFC mags can be adapted to work with GHK. So I figured out there will be always a proper seal here, so we don't need to take it out from the other magazine, if you wonder, based on the other conversions. What we will need to do is just take out the valve. In this magazine you need to release the gas first, and mine is empty. You can just shoot it out, or you can push the valve with some tool, and maybe not by hand because it will be blowing gas into your hand, let's say, and you can get burnt. So you need to release the gas. In my case it's empty, so I can press the valve, no issue. Yeah, so in my case it's fine. The valve will come out without disassembly of the magazine in general. If you have a different type of mag, the long one or some P-mag, whatever, and maybe you need to disassemble it a bit, but I don't have one to show you, so I'm showing based on the one I have. Pretty standard stuff. We take valve removal tool. Theoretically we could try with some screwdriver, but do not scratch anything. I'm gonna use a professional tool. Okay, now I can rotate it out, and here is the valve. So the rest of the magazine is not needed, I will put it completely aside. And with the valve out, you can clean it, of course, if this is not a brand new mag. Important is that you check that you have 3 seals here. 1 O-ring here, 1 O-ring here, and 1 O-ring here on this moving part, although I doubt you can lose this one. Yeah, sometimes these fell off. To allow for insertion of the valve to the conversion, we need to remove those 2 screws at the rear. And when the part is removed, we can drop in the valve. You can relube these O-rings, you can clean this, as I said. You just put it in, and you need to make it like nicely fit. Then rotate it counterclockwise until you feel the threads catch. Okay, and then we can start screwing this in. You see that most of the valve is sticking out, so there is a lot of screwing in that you can do by your hand. But generally in the end you need to tighten it with the tool too. And remember to tighten it very tight, like properly. It has to be sealed on both front and rear end. And here is something that I will actually show as maybe something interesting. So what I have in my hands right now, this is a VFC valve. And it looks similar, of course, like the size is different, maybe some dimensions, the holes are bigger. But in general, there is a big difference how it works and how works the one in GHK, because in all GBBRs I've seen so far apart from GHK, the gas is on this side of the valve, and when it opens, it kind of opens against the pressure, gets pressure inside and out. Yeah, so this is how a regular valve works. In GHK, it's other way around, so you have the gas in the middle, and when the valve opens, it opens, let's say, in the same direction that the pressure pushes and goes out from this side. Yeah, if you would look in, if you remove the cap and you look into the conversion, you can see that the tip is visible, and you can see also here that more or less this is in the middle of the valve, not at the end. Which is better? I don't know. If you do too much pressure on this type of valve, the regular one, the VFC, TM, all the others, basically you will crush it from this side sooner or later. In GHK, if you exceed the pressure, it will just open and release it. So from this perspective, probably it's better, but what's maybe more difficult, you need very good sealing. Instead of 2 places, meaning the tip and this seal inside of conversion, so that the pressure doesn't run out, you need the good sealing through the middle, then to this seal on the front, to this release seal on the moving part, to the seal here at the back, and seal on that rod that is inside. Yeah, theoretically VFC valve has the exact same seals, but if those two, this one and the one inside, are not perfect, the gun will shoot and you will not really feel a difference. In GHK you will get a leak. So the part has to be really precisely manufactured. That's where I'm heading. Okay, and now we need to put the rear part back here, tighten those 2 screws. Make sure that this part is straight, you can push down on it, yeah, so that it aligns properly. And with this, the step is complete, conversion is prepared. During the course of recording this video, actually, I decided to make a last-minute change, and I replaced the straight screwed connector with the 90-degree screwed connector. So you will see that at some point in the video the conversion switches from the straight to this one, but in general it has no impact on anything. This is some simplification that will make it easier to assemble the gun correctly. Now back to the gun. For the second step, we will assemble the conversion into the lower receiver. For this we need to remove the pins from the rear. Okay, so you pull this one out, of course. I guess everybody knows how to do it if they own an AR15 model. Okay, and here we are left with the lower. So what I will be using the conversion, those 2 screws, the conical and the cylindrical one, and one of the magazines. First we will do the fitting, so you can imagine the conversion will sit in here under the bolt catch. If this is completely assembled, you can like push the bolt catch down, yeah, and you can wiggle the conversion in and you see how it is supposed to fit. Simple. And what is good to do is also good to put in the mag, so that this position later will not be influenced by the magazine, because you will make some wrong clearance or something. And now let's have a closer look. We will have to drill 2 holes. One will be here in the middle and one will be there in this slot. So this one has a little bigger diameter, but it is dedicated for the conical head. This one is a slot dedicated for the cylindrical head. This is given by the shape of the upper receiver. Yeah. So the simplest way to do it is to take some sharp tool and mark where should be the center of this hole, or you can maybe do a cross, and the same for this one, make a line here. So I made myself 2 markings, maybe they are not so visible on the camera. I scratched it with a sharp tool. Now we can take out the magazine, the conversion, also take it out. Let's put this aside for the moment. And you can see a cross here and a line here. So somewhere in the middle of this line and on this cross, I will have to drill 2 holes, and those holes will have to be M2.5 for these M2.5 screws. This is aluminium. In general, this drilling will be much easier than in all the other conversions, where you drill in this hardened steel part that reinforces the bolt catch. It could be really difficult. Drill through it, thread it, So here I'm going to drill, and depending on the gun you have or the skills you have, you might want to remove some of the components from the trigger group, yeah, because there will be some dirt coming and you don't want, to end up having it everywhere and needing to clean it. So I will remove the bolt catch and I will remove the hammer, and then I will patch it all with a tissue, and I can do the drilling and threading. I don't know if a dedicated guide is needed how to remove it, but let's show it. We punch out this pin. Okay, carefully. There is a spring you don't want to lose. The bolt catch already fell off. And in my case, I have the magnetic bolt catch, so I have also this arm. And by the way, I did not mention one thing. Here you see in my version this is elevated, right? So conversion is designed in such a way that it fits to this elevation. It fits flat on these features. If you have the older GHKs, they are flat here, the same as on this side. So I also didn't mention it at the very beginning, but in the kit there is some shim with proper dimension, and you can put it in here under the conversion for an older GHK, and basically you will get the same kind of alignment. And then when we remove the bolt catch, we also need to remove the hammer pin. So the parts came out. Actually this part, it has attachment for a spring on the bottom, which connects it to the trigger. So I will have to remove the trigger later to reattach this spring. Actually, I don't need to do it for the reason of the drilling, but I will remove it right now too. Okay, so here it is, and you see this tiny spring there. I will show it in a detail later. For now, let's just put all these components aside. Important is not to lose them, and now we can do our work. For the lower receiver, as I said, I patch it with tissues. I will be just drilling and threading, so it's easy, let's say, to control where this dirt will go, because there is no like filing that a mist of filed steel, let's say, like debris will go everywhere. So just patch the openings, and at the end, so that this doesn't move or fall out, the tissues I just tape them. So for the drilling I will go with 1mm drill, then I will increase the holes to 1.5mm, and then finally to 2.05mm. This is the dimension for the threading, diameter 2.05. I like to do this kind of progression because one thing, it's easier, less material is removed at once, so in case something goes wrong, easier to stop, let's say. Second thing, you will be able to check between the steps if the holes are properly positioned. You can always put the conversion back on and see where the hole is. If it is a bit offsetted, maybe you caught something some dimension incorrectly, then you can always with the bigger drill, you know, offset it in the proper direction a bit. So that's my way of doing this. And I will be showing just the results. It's hard to drill under camera, you can imagine. So I'm gonna do those openings and show you the result. And the depth you want to achieve for all of them is at least 10 millimeters. Yeah? Why I say at least? Because depending on the screw length, you maybe need more, maybe need a little less. But it also depends on your threading tool. Yeah, if you have sharp tip on the threading tool, like needle, I mean, then you will need a little deeper hole. If you have this type of tool that has the flat end and it creates the thread all the way to the end of the hole, then 10 millimeters for each hole will be just enough. Yeah. In general, you will see, I suggest you drill it, you thread it, you see if the screws are not too long, and if they are, just adjust a bit. Yeah, so no problem here. Here are my 1 millimeter holes. I already checked the position, all is good. Now I'm gonna go with the 1.5 drill. Now you see the 1.5 millimeter holes and the 2.05 millimeter holes. The next step will be to make the thread, and for this I will use these kind of hand tools. They are marked with 1 cut, 2 cuts, or like 0 cuts. The order in which you should use them is 1 to 0. 1 is the, let's say, main cuts the main material off, let's say. Second cuts in more the thread, and third one is the finishing one. Yeah, this is aluminum, this is soft. Yeah, different people have different approaches. I suggest you do it slowly and go through all, because if you break a threading tool in the body, it's probably impossible to remove it. 1 to 0. And some of you already know my tactics, so I use edible oil. It's here in the on the pot, and I take a bit of it. Yeah, it's like edible oil, not some machine oil or something. Yeah, because that's important. This is regular edible oil. I apply it and then I thread it like this. I put it in the hole and I go 1 rotation. Of course it has to catch at the beginning, but when it catches I go 1 full rotation to the front, half rotation back, 1 full rotation. I can, because this really goes easily, this is aluminum, maybe I will go 2 and half back. Yeah, again 1, 2, half back, 1, 2, half back, 1, 2, 3 and 4, half back, and so on and so on. And this way I go all the way in, and if at any point this will become like seemingly harder to rotate it, I can feel it in my hands. I need to remove the threading tool completely, then clean it up. Yeah, it's full of aluminum, you see. Then dip it in the oil again and go on. And when I finish with the 1 cut, I can take it out, take the 2 cut, and let's repeat. Oil, 1 or 2 rotations forwards, half rotation back. In case of any trouble, remove it, clean it, dip it in oil, do all over again. And when I finished with the 2 cut, again, take it out, take the 0 cut one, dip in oil, and repeat. So when you're done, it should look more or less like this. Not much interesting, but now you can test the holes by just putting in the screws. The cylindrical one goes on the left side like you see. The conical one should go on the right side like you see. And those screws should go like close to the surface, yeah, because finally they have to catch on that conversion like this. This one will be the cylindrical one, this one conical. In my case they go all the way in like needed. I can now remove them, make the cleanup, and we will assemble back the trigger mechanism, screw in the conversion. Now it's the time to put back the trigger mechanism and the bolt catch into the receiver. So I have the trigger here. You see there is this small spring hanging from it, so we will need to catch this spring in with this hook. Okay, and the parts should be joined like this. Okay, then on the top we put this spring, and on the top of this there will go the disconnector. So if we have this complete assembly, keeping the spring forwards, yeah, we can put it into the receiver. And then we will catch it with this pin here. However, it's very hard to show it, like do it under camera, probably you can imagine. So I have to do it off camera and I'll show the result. Okay, so I dropped it in and I already pushed in the pin. A small hint is it's easier to do it, or maybe it's only possible to do it if you put the fire selector on auto. Yeah, so I had it on auto, I put it in, and still I'm holding with my finger that part, the valve knocker on the spring, so that the spring doesn't fall out. Yeah. Now we need to take the hammer, and with the hammer you can see it had this tiny little ring here on the right side, and this keeps the pin from falling out. So be sure you have it, be sure that you didn't lose it. The long springs will go on top of this pin, so I need to put it this way. Okay, and the hammer is in position. Then we just put in this pin, and the pin goes also through the valve knocker part, so make sure everything is positioned well, because you will not be able to push it through. With some practice you can do it quite easily. If you cock the hammer, it's in my opinion a tiny bit easier to do it, and at the end you will have to push the pin through that spring ring, let's call it. And it worked. Yeah, so now if I pull the trigger, can release the hammer, it cocks. Yeah, if I hold the trigger, like hold it, yeah, then this connector catches and then it moves to the trigger, so everything's fine. Now the bolt catch, pretty quick and easy. First go the spring from this side. This blocking part goes from this side, and the arm goes from this side. Okay, and of course the pin, I did not remove it from the receiver, so I now don't need to push it all over again, let's say. I just need to push it from this place. Let's remove the trigger guard. This is pretty standard. You just push a button in here and then punch out the pin in here. So don't force it, but sooner or later it will come out. We will not need both of these parts. And we will take also off the pistol grip, just to make the things easier. So we have to look there, there is a screw deep inside, and we need to put in some long tool to undo it. So removing it. Okay, and when you finish you will be able to take off the pistol grip, as you see. Now we will have to assemble the hose to the conversion before we put the conversion into the receiver. And for this we can remove that spring with the sleeve, yeah, just pull it off. It will make it a little easier. And on this side you need to remove the nut, then put it through the hose on that end where trigger guard is closer to the end of the hose, and then push it all the way in. And when it is connected like all the way in, you have to take the nut and tighten it, and it is ready. The conversion will come in from the bottom and up like this, and the trigger guard will stay here. Yeah, so you have to be careful not to bend the hose. This is the reason why I finally decided not to use the straight connector, because it was really hard to do it without bending the hose. And when you do it, the trigger guard should end in the proper position with the holes aligned. Yeah, so there are holes here on the trigger guard, they should be aligned with those holes on the lower receiver. So what I'm gonna do is I will take it and I will pull the trigger guard a little closer, so that when the conversion goes into position, more or less here, the trigger guard will be practically in place. And to help you a little, the distance in my case from the end of the trigger guard till this nut, but it depends obviously how much you tightened it, is 21.5 millimeters. So with this distance I should be able to just put the conversion from the bottom, have the trigger guide fit here, make this go under the bolt catch, yeah, and this way I can assemble it. When I do it, I can take my screws and attach the conversion on the top. So both of my screws are in place, and before I tighten them, I want to take a magazine, put it in to make sure that you know, this will not be tilted or whatever, so that the magazine doesn't want to go in later. And now I can tighten the screws. And now the conversion is assembled. I can remove the magazine. And now we come to the next stage of the assembly, where we will assemble the upper receiver to the lower, and we will see what changes are required for the upper, because in different models from different time periods, let's say, this could be a little different. So, and you see if it fits or doesn't. Yeah, in my case, I could put it on without any issue. I can reload the gun without any issue. So like everything's perfect, right? But what could happen, depending on the gun again that you have, is that you could get some small collision. If I open the gun like this, you can see here there are those cutouts, and the conversion mounting points, they fit into those cutouts. Yeah. So in case you are not able to close the upper receiver, what you would need to do is to have a look here and find out which one is wrong, basically what cutout collides with which of the points, and file a bit of it. Yeah, I tried to do it as good as I could so that this operation is not needed, but yeah, I did not had every single gun in my hands to confirm that it's fine. If you look from the bottom, you see that there is barrel extension sticking out here at the bottom, and it will collide with the magazine. If you have a version of the gun which doesn't have that sticky feature, maybe you will be able to insert the magazine, but I already know I won't be. I can insert the magazine and see if it locks. Yeah, so I cannot. I know that I will have the issue with this barrel extension. What I could also do is to pull the bolt carrier back, like lock it with the bolt catch, and now I can have a look here, and I will see that my feeding lips on the magazine collide with that part. It's hard to show it on video, but I guess you perfectly know what I mean. So I will have to disassemble the front, take out the barrel extension, flatten out this part, and then put everything back again. Depending on the type of the gun, it might require a different disassembly method for the front. So I won't be showing it right now, yeah, but I believe you know how to take off the front of your gun. If not, then you can find it online. Or maybe actually you have that flat version of barrel extension and you don't need to do anything here. Yeah? For example, VFC barrel extensions fit, they also don't have that feature. Unfortunately, we here have to remove it. So I will do my whole disassembly off screen. I will show that how this part looks like only before and after the modification. Then I will put it all back and we will be ready to move on to the next steps. So here is the barrel extension taken out, and I want just everything to be flat with this wall. If I show it this way, you see this is like sticking out. Yeah, they did it for some reason. We don't need it. That's actually interesting because all the aftermarket parts doesn't have this. Yeah, this is some weird kind of feature. So if you have the aftermarket part, you can replace it. Probably it will be just fine. Maybe in the older guns it was also not there. Honestly, I don't know. If you have it like I do, just make it flat. And this is my modified barrel extension. You see it's flat. I polished it a bit after filing, and there is some chamfer on the bottom. It's like very tiny. Maybe you will need to add a little bigger, depends if the mag will jam. You will see when you put it back into the gun. And I did not change the ramp at all. I just polished a bit the edges so that they are not sharp. I will throw it now into the gun and show how the magazine fits now. And because I'm holding the bolt carrier in my hands, I will show you one more thing that is worth doing. Here on the front, it's good to have not a sharp edge, because usually it's sharp and it's in all GBBRs, so when it will move back, it will catch on the seal on the conversion and can tear it apart. The same happens with the gas mags. So just make sure that you chamfer this edge. You can take sharp knife and, you know, just make sure it's not sharp anymore. So you see that my gun is reassembled again with this modified barrel extension, and right now if I insert the magazine, it clicks nicely in place. There is no problem, it goes all the way in, and now we can do some testing. What we will test is if the conversion height is correct. For this we will need to do a little trick, because in the GHK and WA systems this is a little more tricky, because when you pull the charging handle back, it pulls the nozzle, and through the nozzle it pulls the bolt carrier group. So in other guns we pulled it back and we looked if the nozzle touches to the seal, but in our case if we pull it back, the nozzle will always go together with the bolt carrier group to the rear. So it's not possible to separate this so easily. So the only way how we can do it is to take two screwdrivers, for example, and by hand separate the nozzle from the bolt carrier group to push them away like this, yeah? And only then I am able to do it. Of course, the charging handle here has to be closed, because again it pushes on the nozzle, yeah? And we must make sure that when we look in there, the nozzle really sits on the conversion, yeah? If it doesn't sit, there are two options what you could do. You could either shim it a tiny bit on the receiver to lift it higher, or you can move the trigger guard by like 0.5 millimeter back on the hose, and then when we will attach it to the receiver, it will push up the conversion. In my case it touches nicely, but as you see I need to use my hands like this to hold it. I cover completely the screen and so on, so it's very hard to show, but generally the input surface on the nozzle should be on the, when you pull the bolt carrier away, the way seal. And remember, when you are doing this check, always make sure that you push the nozzle all the way to the front, so that you really have it in the final position. Okay, and to show you what I mean exactly, so the nozzle in GHK and WA actually too, it has this cam pin on the top here, and the charging handle, when you pull it back, pulls the nozzle. So this is the reason why you are not able to separate them. And what you need to make sure is that when you have it like this inside of the gun, of course outside of the gun you are moving this by hand, this doesn't mean that inside it fits, yeah? But here in this area, to check that here on this area here, you see, you have a nice touch, which in my case I have, but again it's really hard to demonstrate. With this first check done, now we will check the conversion work with the valve. We do it like this, that we charge the gun. Okay, we need to put the gun on semi, so I put it on semi, and now when I blow through the hose with my mouth, I should not be able to blow through, which I am not able to, and when I pull the trigger and leave it, I should be able to blow through, which I am. I hope you can hear this. Now if I charge the gun again, I should not be able to blow through, and I am not. So it means that valve function and the sealing is correct. Of course under higher pressure we'll check it too. You can do the exact same check for full auto to make sure that you know, when you assemble the trigger group, everything is okay. And now for the last check we will need the magazine again, so we will check the bolt catch function. You want to put in the magazine, take the gun and we will be looking there into the shell ejector area. When we pull the bolt carrier group, there will be a position in which the bolt catch mechanism will go up, yeah? So you want to make sure that it really is not having any issues slowing it down. In my case, I don't know if you've heard it, I will do it again. Okay, so I go back and you will hear at some point a click, because that's how quick and strong the bolt catch goes up, yeah? So listen. And right now, yep, so this means, okay, once again, and right now, You can look there to see how it happens, or you can also look here on the lever and see how it moves. Yeah, that is like really energetic, let's say, movement. This means that there are no issues like friction or anything blocking the bolt catch. So we can push it down, close the bolt carrier, and the performance is okay. In case you have an issue that the bolt catch arm is not opening so easily or nicely, then you need to have a look where the friction could come from. It could depend on the gun, so it's hard to explain up front what could be wrong, but generally you will have to look for the cause. Usually it's scratching somewhere on the receiver, or maybe there is some dirt not cleaned, depends. So with all this prepared, the last step will be to assemble the pistol grip, and for this we don't really need the upper receiver, so it will be just a little more handy. So I will remove it off screen. I will show you how to modify the pistol grip, and we will put it back together. For the hose finishing, with the spring, the connector, those covers for it, there is a separate video in the Frog Appendix section, and it's identical for all the rifles. So I will not record it all over again. When I reach this point, I will just tell you to watch that video. The link will be there in the description, so you can find it. With the pistol grip, modification will be simple, just like for all other rifles. We need to drill here a hole through the middle. This has 7.5. It could depend a bit on the pistol grip you are going to use, but in my case I will drill in the middle with 7mm diameter drill, and I will drill like this and a little like this, so that it's easier to make the hose go through. I will do it off screen. I will show the result. So I have here my modified pistol grip. You see the hole, it goes also a little from the top, because I will have to push the hose next to the screw head, as I said, like this. And in case this will be complicated, you can always change it to this kind of spherical head. It's as good as that one to attach it, but it will be easier to go around it. This is an M6x20 screw, yeah, nothing special. Regardless of which solution you choose, you will have to put in the screw to the pistol grip so that it sits there, and now take the hose and push it through. It should go through like this, yeah, okay, all the way till the end. And here, while screwing, you will be pulling it into place, let's say, and the trigger guard will kind of like settle in the final position. Again, it will be hard to do under camera, so I need to at least catch the thread off screen, but last steps of screwing I can show you. So I did it, I caught it, yeah, now it's just to screw it all the way in, and you see how the trigger guard goes into place. Few more rotations. See, by the way, I replaced the fire selector to an ambidextrous one. When I started airsoft long time ago with AGs and stuff, I always wanted this kind of SPR mod 1 with the rail and so on, and I never had it. Yeah, I had some different guns, it was always my dream gun, so now I'm doing a kind of old school build that will be exactly like the thing I ever wanted, so I'm already sneaking in some of the parts as I assemble it, when I have the occasion not to disassemble everything later on. And important is that in the process I still did not broke that hose, which is the target. Okay, now one of the last things to do is to attach the trigger guard. We will take those tiny headless screws, and we will need to use some adhesive, this quick drying Loctite type, and we apply it on the thread here, maybe here, so it is visible. Not too much, not to spill it on the gun, of course. We apply it and we drop in the screw into this hole, tighten it. And you want to just make it flush, because if you overdo it, you will crush the hose inside, right? Then we take the second one, the same way, apply the adhesive, throw it in here. You need to apply this adhesive because otherwise, or because of like GBBR action, shaking and everything, it will fall apart. Yeah, that's the usual case. And the last one, with a bit of glue the same way, will go into this hole. Okay, so this part is complete. Now the last thing is to finish the hose to the length that you desire, let's say, and this is a part of this additional video I recorded. So we meet again in this video after you watched that one. The link is in the description, and of course for my case now I'll do it off screen. So here I have the gun assembled completely. Hose ready, conversion ready. Of course, remember also to relube the gun, make sure that everything is prepared to be used. We need to put some furniture on the gun to make it look nice for the video. We connect the pressure now. As always, remember to put the gun first on safe. If I have it on semi and I fire, I am not able to bring it back to safe. So putting it back on safe guarantees that the hammer is cocked and the valve is resetted. So we do it, then we connect the pressure, and I'm using Redline Mini SFR as always, 120 psi. Maximum pressure you can use is 145. And now let's listen for some hissing, if everything's okay. I don't hear anything. So what is left is to put the finger on the trigger, remove the safety and try it. Okay, semi works nicely. Let's see full auto. No issues whatsoever. And we want to test, of course, with the magazine, so we take one of them and let's see the bolt catch function. All good. Of course we can try with BBs, but I'll do one more try. I will put it to full auto, and right now I will hold down the bolt catch and release it after a few shots to see if it catches. It catches. What does it mean? Everything's okay. So this was it. We converted the AR15 gun type from GHK, and with this Frog Engineering designed the conversions for all major systems available on the market. Thank you for watching. Subscribe, like, hit the notification bell not to miss next cool uploads that are coming, and of course let me know what you think in the comments. May the power of GBBR be with you.